And good morning, good afternoon, and good day to everybody, depending on where you're at, maybe even evening. I'm Gerald, I'm a Star Wars fanatic, and welcome to another live stream. It's been quite a while since I've done one, but before we get started, I will say there will be spoilers for the Star Wars Andor series and anything else Star Wars we feel like talking about. So, if you haven't seen those yet, proceed with extreme caution, or turn away, come back, watch it later. And let's say hello to Biggs Dark Lighter, my boy Robin, Sydney, Benjamin Keenan, Indiana Holmes, and Colin and Isaac Kuo. Welcome, guys. Good to see you. Looks like there's probably about 6 or 7 more people in here that I haven't mentioned. First off, this is a celebration of hitting 20,000 subscribers as of our Thanksgiving Day on Thursday. I am really appreciative of that. Thank you all so much. I don't know how ecstatic I am. I don't know how to tell you how ecstatic I am, rather. It's been an amazing journey, and it's just going to keep getting better from here. Ooh, excuse me, a little bit of indigestion there. Um, so, yeah, the Andor series has wrapped up, and man, what an amazing show it was. I don't know how much I can talk about how great that show is. It's been so good. And this is surprising for me because I wasn't particularly excited about the Andor show when it was announced. I thought, why? I liked Rogue One. I thought it was cool and it was a good story. I just didn't understand why they were picking this character to make a whole series about. It just didn't make sense to me. But now that I've seen it and it's out and the first season's done, holy crap, that's wow. I didn't know Star Wars could be written in such a way. It has been really good. Let's see. Let me go to Chosen One, his comment here. Sorry, I have a little bit of ADHD, so I get distracted easily. Do you support Star Wars Legends to be continued, just like Visions? I do. I think it's there's a lot of good stories in Legends. There's a lot of bad stories in Legends too, but I choose to ignore those and just go on with the stuff I do like. And I mean, especially the Mandalorian stuff, the Boba Fett stuff, uh, Jango Fett open seasons, loved it. I think it should continue, and it is continuing. It just isn't a part of what they consider canon right now, um, but it is still being printed. They're still printing these stories. They're still using them, and we can still read them, and we can still enjoy them. And I think they should print more, and not as a canon material per se, but as a reference material for canon. There's a lot of good writers out there that have done great things with it. Timothy Zombie and the one that booted it and made everything just awesome. Hey, Don, good to see you. Glad you could join. So I hope that answers your question. And if I don't see your comment, please just keep commenting. I'll see it eventually. And thank you, Isaac. I appreciate that. See more Vision stories or even continuations of the ones we've already seen. Yes, I'd love to see the Ronin continued. That was my favorite one by far. That was a really good story, and I love the animation in it. I'm usually not a big anime fan, like the cheesier kiddish stuff like the hey, that stuff. I'm not into that. I'm more into the more serious stuff like Ronin. Also the one I forget the name of it, the one with the older guy who was I think he was a Sith. That was a good one. The other one was the one where they drew the Jedi into the space temple and um, kind of tricked him. That was another good one. Reminds me a lot of Star Wars Underworld that never came out, especially the scene where the ISB mole. Yes, yes. I wish they would have done something with the Underworld series that George Lucas was working on. That would have been neat. But Andor is definitely a good supplement for that for the time being. Um, and I think Star Wars is just going to keep growing from there. And I know I say it a lot, but this Andor has been so well written. It's so well directed and acted, and the sets are awesome, and the locations, and even the CGI they did use wasn't so cheesy that it was distracting. It was great, and I think we can see more of that coming. Now with the Mandalorian, the way it is, it's already been told a certain way. The story's already been started a certain way. If they switch that in the middle, say season 3, and made it a more serious, more, I don't know how to put it, but if they made it along the lines of Andor, people notice, and a lot of people would get upset, and a lot of people would turn away from it. So I think they need to continue The Mandalorian the way it is. It's still a good story. It's still a good show. It's written very well. It's acted very well, and there's a lot of good points in it. So I think they should continue it that way. And I think the Bad Batch needs to continue along the lines of the Clone Wars, the way it had in the past. Um, the ones I see that they should really change it up on are Ahsoka, the Acolyte, and Skeleton Crew. Make those, I don't know how to say it. I don't want to say make them like the Mandalorian, because there's nothing like the Mandalorian. There shouldn't be anything like the, or not the Mandalorian, the Andor series. I think they should just continue making them the way they are, but enhance them the way Andor has been. And it seems like, and from a lot of things I'm reading, if somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like a lot of Lucasfilm executives were hands off for Andor. And I think that's one thing that made it great. I mean, there was no Dave Filoni, no Jon Favreau, no, I don't think Kathleen Kennedy was pushing her weight around too much in it, maybe giving little suggestions here and there. But I, I don't dislike Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, but they have a certain way of storytelling. And that storytelling is good for the stories they tell, but had they got involved in Andor, then the story of Andor would have just been like every other Star Wars story. It would have been the same thing, only with a character that nobody really understood. Let me see here. Sorry, reading some comments here. Skeleton Crew, Indiana. We've got, so far, we don't have a whole lot um, on Skeleton Crew. We know that it's Jude Law, and he's going to be having some younglings or foundlings or some kids. They're going to be lost in space, kind of like a Lost in Space thing with kids. I want to think of it more along the lines of the Clone Wars arc, where Ahsoka had the younglings with her, the Padawans or whatever they were, and they were trying to escape the Trandoshans. Something along that lines, live action. Not that story, but something similar from what I've read about it. I could be way wrong. Oh, definitely the child. Absolutely. Marva's speech was amazing. And I didn't realize it until, just the other day when I was talking about Andor with my sister, and she said, "Yeah, that's Aunt Petunia from uh, the Harry Potter series." I was like, "Holy crap, it is!" I didn't put two and two together because so much time has passed between the Harry Potter series and Andor that she's aged quite a bit, and it's fine because she's a brilliant actress. Man, I didn't when I saw her in Harry Potter, I didn't think she'd become something like this, that would have a speech that significant, that just punched me in the gut. I mean, fight the Empire. Man, that's just right there saying it. And so Brasso did. He fought the Empire with Marva. He took Marva's brick and whacked that Imperial officer. So cool. Marva got to fight on even after her death. And their master floating about in space. Stranger Things in space. Yeah, that's a better way of summing it up, Don. Let's see. Somebody else had a comment here I was interested in. Oh yeah, Jude Law, definitely Isaac. He's one of my favorite British actors from the early 2000s. I know I have a lot of different niches of favorite actors and stuff, but Jude Law really did it for me, especially in the movie Enemy at the Gates. I thought he did a brilliant job playing Vasily Zaitsev, um, and it was a great movie. Although cheesy at times, it was still a great movie. Really, I didn't know that, Lodo film. Thank you. And somebody said something about a Jeep. I'm still looking for that. Sorry. Somebody said something about a Jeep. I don't remember seeing a Jeep. I don't look for things that are out of character for Star Wars. I don't look for screws or nuts or bolts or any kind of welding seams or anything like that. I'm not that particular because, we're limited with the stuff we have on our own world as to what Star Wars worlds are going to look like. And of course, we fasten things with screws. I'm not going to be upset about that. We build things with bricks. Cool. If we want to imagine buildings made out of something other than bricks, then okay, we can imagine that, but it's hard for us to fathom it because of what we make our materials out of. Um, Building buildings out of bricks isn't a big deal for me, especially since Marva was made into a brick for a wall. Her husband was made into a brick for a wall. It was good. And everybody, also, just to let y'all know, super chats are welcome. There's a lot of chat going on right now, and I'm trying to catch up with it and keep up with it, but it's just getting a little, not out of hand, but I'm glad to see everybody participating. Jeep in the last episode. I'm just confused where it is. Yeah, I haven't seen it, Captain Jack. I haven't seen the Jeep. I haven't really looked for it either, and I'm not going to go looking for it because it's kind of like the water bottle in Game of Thrones season 8. Or was it season 8? I think it was season 8. Yeah. That I really didn't care if it was there. People get thirsty and they want a water bottle. So what? Um, no big deal to me. We have our own world limitations. There's so many flaws in every Star Wars project, editing mistakes and whatnot, that it's becoming irrelevant when we see something like that. Like in Dances with Wolves, when the Native Americans and Kevin Costner are chasing down the buffalo, somebody yells, "Here we go." Didn't care. Somebody else wearing sneakers in the show, didn't care. It didn't take away from the story. May have taken a little bit away from the visual, but not enough to distract me. Yeah, I'm okay with a Jeep being in Star Wars. I'm just as okay as I am with an MG34 being called a heavy blaster. I'm just as okay as I am with a AK-47 being a blaster. Just as okay as I am with an MP40 pouch right there on somebody's chest on a stormtrooper. SWAT vehicle. Yeah, that'd be neat. Um, so yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys think. I haven't read too many negative thoughts about Andor. Um, I have on Facebook groups and stuff, but I've been shying away from those because they seem to be a hotbed for negativity, and that's not what I'm about. I'm not about negativity. If I think something's stupid or I don't like something in Star Wars, I just don't talk about it. I just leave it alone and let it go and let it be its own thing and let people enjoy it who enjoy it and let people dislike it who dislike it. It's neither here nor there to me because I didn't like it. Hence the reason you'll never see me talk about or make a video about Star Wars Resistance. Won't happen. Didn't like the show, so I just leave it alone. Um, yeah, Polaroid camera being a navigation device. That's simple enough. And lightsabers originally, Luke's lightsaber or Anakin's, whatever you want to call it, being parts of a camera. That's is what it is. We don't nitpicking has become a new thing ever since you can stop things, freeze frame them, highlight them, expand them. Anybody can do it now. It's not just these production people who can do it, not just cameramen or editing departments who can do all this stuff. We can all do it from our computers and our smartphones now. So we're finding things in Star Wars that's, little out of place and we're freaking out about it. Well, they've always been there. Um, they've always been there. The pyramids on Yavin 4, highly resemble Aztec and Mayan pyramids. They're made with giant blocks, just like pyramids were. So, nobody threw a fit about that in 1977. So, and the Winter Beard. I loved Andor so much. Can we say there is a whole different type of fandom here? Something more mature. Think of myself as a rogue fan. Yeah, absolutely. And it's about time we got something more mature. And not saying that all of Star Wars is immature. It's not. We have things like lopping off heads and arms and hands and blood sometimes. And, people getting shot and killed and Clone Wars being as violent as it was. That's all mature stuff. But that's not what the basis of those shows were. The Andor series, the basis was for a mature audience. Kids aren't going to like it. 12-year-olds are going to be like, man, this is slow and boring. Why? Because as a 12-year-old, I had the attention span of a goldfish. Um, if TikTok were around back when I was 12 years old, that probably would have been my thing too. But it wasn't, so I had to keep myself entertained with my little bitty action figures and play with them. As you can see in the background, I have plenty of those action figures now. I don't play with them as much as I did as a kid, but yeah, back to Andor. Sorry. Yeah, so Andor is for mature audiences. Not saying it's, full of sex and drugs and rock and roll and all that good stuff our grandparents warned us about. Cassian's sister, I think we will see more of that in season two. It was only hinted at in this, and some of the criticism I've seen is because they left that story alone. What happened? Okay, well, this is a dual season series that's going to go deeper into other things mentioned in the first season. Cassian's been a bit preoccupied to be looking for his sister. He had a stint in prison. He's been on the hide from the Empire. He hasn't really had much time to go looking for his sister. So yeah, they left it alone for a minute until he is able to regroup and inquire more into her. Yeah, Winterbeard, same here. I saw A New Hope when it was just Star Wars in 1977. Um, and loved it. From then on, I was hooked. Andor just brought me right back into that feeling, just like Rogue One did when I saw it a few years back. Um, it brought me right back into my childhood, and I was like, I want to buy action figures. So I did. Action figures all over the place. That would be a crazy plot twist, considering it's been hinted they've had relations. Hey, Mando with a plan and crew. Good to see you guys. All right, Benjamin Keenan. I wonder if Davo's going to funnel money for Mon Mothma indefinitely after he gets what he wants. I don't think that will come without strings attached. I don't see Davo making it very far. If so, he'll just fall into the space of obscurity. All right, let's go. Just assumed it ended when his mom told him stop. Yeah, that could be too. I mean, his mom just told him stop worrying about your sister. And Marva was right. You got other things to worry about, and it's probably just going to lead to a negative place. Yeah, homage to the Great Leia and Luke twist. Yeah, that was almost as disturbing as Game of Thrones with the Lannisters. Your armor's gone. Huh? Clea could be his sister. I mean, she's probably about the right age, and she has the brown eyes and brown hair like his sister did. It would be quite the plot twist if it was his sister that ordered him to be killed by her to Vel when she told Vel that Cassie needed to be taken out. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it started Cassian on his path. Good point, Sydney. Uh, by going looking for his sister, he started the thing with the capos and or capos or copos, whatever they're called, the corporate police, in need for repairs. Oh, that stinks. Yeah, I had to repair my armor after wearing it a few times too. Um, Wore it to a convention and developed a couple cracks. Had to fill those in, fix them. Um, the harness I was using for the jetpack wasn't up to my standards because the shoulder straps kept falling down under my cloth items and pulling my shoulders and really hurting them. So I devised a new, I made my own harness, which is just an elastic band in the front, elastic bands for the shoulders, and elastic band on the back with clips attached to it that The whole thing just clips onto it, and now I can't even feel the jetpack. I don't even know it's on. I can't even feel the weight or anything. It's awesome. Yeah, so Andor doesn't really have me scared for the future of Star Wars. It has me excited. Um, I can't wait for the Mandalorian season 3 in February. That's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be a little bit different than what we're used to in The Mandalorian, as far as this is a larger scale than what we've seen before, because there's going to be a Mandalorian war. We know that, or at least the beginnings of a Mandalorian war that could continue into the fourth season. So don't be upset if they leave it on a cliffhanger for that. But we're going to see Bo-Katan again. We'll probably see Ahsoka. Um, and I know you Luke Skywalker fans out there are going to hate this, but I honestly hope we don't see Luke Skywalker show up again. He doesn't need to show up and save the day and everything. It just upsets me. Luke Skywalker has his moments, and he has shows that he should be in, like the Ahsoka series. Now that she knows about Luke, she should be in the he should be in the Ahsoka series. If they're going to put him in anything, he shouldn't be in the Mandalorian. It just doesn't make sense. He didn't need to be in the Book of Boba Fett. That didn't make sense. But that's my gripe. I know I said I don't talk about things I don't like, but there are aspects of things that I will talk about if I didn't like them. We're talking about Cyril Karn. Yeah, Cyril Karn. He got knocked down a notch or two. I think a lot of what was with Cyril Karn was that he was a young commander or leader. Um, he probably rose up through the ranks pretty quickly, and sounds like he had some connections outside that may have helped him out a little bit. But he didn't really know how to command forces into something like this, and this was his big shot, and he saw that, and he wanted to act like a big shot and make it all happen. But as you could see, when the the corporate police started raiding Ferrex, he really didn't know what he was doing. It was the sergeant making the calls, and he was just along for the ride, kind of. And when it went south, it went on him. It didn't go on anybody else. It fell on him, and it bruised his ego. And he's like, okay, well, crap, I messed that up. Now I'm fired and working in a mundane job in a mundane place. And I'm infatuated with this ISB lady who constantly has a disappointing scowl. Um, so what do I do now? Whole series on Grand Admiral Thrawn. Yes, please. I want a series on Grand Admiral Thrawn and his time back with the Chiss in the outer regions, and along with Ezra. Because if you guys haven't seen it, some of you are newer, haven't seen some of my theory videos about Thrawn and Ezra. I believe Thrawn and Ezra became like the movie Enemy Mine from the 1980s, where they were forced to work together to survive, but then became close. Now, when we find them in Ahsoka, they're probably still going to have some of that fondness for each other. I'm not saying like in the spirit of things Disney does fondness. I'm saying like comrade fondness. They're going to join up to help rid, and maybe the Grisk are going to come in as well. Not as in the old legend story of the Yuzan Vong. I think the Grisk are the new Yuzan Vong. I'm still reading the Ascendancy novels, almost done with the first one. I know I'm way behind on that, so it's really feeling like a Yuzan Vong type of story. Yeah, it's really his mother. Woof, that's two Harry Potter people, probably more that were in the Andor series. She was in Harry Potter. She was in the Prisoner of Azkaban. Uh, if you didn't see it, huh, Sydney? I wouldn't trust that one. I don't think they're gonna release anything like that. Hey, Francisco Enriquez, good to see you, and greetings from the U.S. El Salvador. That's awesome, and thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, the Vong. Originally, when I read the Yuzan Vong story back in, I guess it was late 90s when I read it, that I didn't really like it too much. I thought it was just another cheesy spinoff of Star Wars. But then it grew on me a little bit more and more and more and more. And now it's to the point where I want this story to come out. I want a new Yuzon Vong War, although the timeline's going to be a little bit different. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. I think that it really could serve a good purpose in the Star Wars universe. Yeah, Winterbeard, I agree. Um, I agree. He has the right motives, and that's the great thing about Andor is it blurs the line between good and bad. He's supposed to be a bad guy, but he has the good intentions. Cassian was a criminal. He's a cop going after a criminal, and normally we root for the police, but in a lot of other shows outside of Star Wars, we've seen that sometimes the intentions of a criminal isn't to be bad, it's to survive or to have a positive end to their means. Where Cyril isn't a bad guy, he's just mixed up in this regime that is bad, and his motives are good, and he's going to wind up either turning to the good side or just being bad. His motives are no longer going to be in question. Yeah, Tales of the Jedi was good. And surprisingly, the Count Dooku stuff was more along my forte than the Ahsoka stuff, which is weird because Ahsoka's my favorite Clone Wars era character. Um, her and Rex. And I thought they could have done a little bit better with her story. But Count Dooku's was amazing. I thought, wow, this adds so much more to his story and the lore that I wanted to see more of it. I wanted full length episodes of Count Dooku. Let's see the stuff with what's his name? His buddy. Come on, somebody. My brain's not working right. Oh my god. Sifo-Dyas. Let's see more of his interaction with Sifo-Dyas, as we saw in or read in the Dooku Jedi Lost novel. Um, about their relationship, how Sifo-Dyas had this real mental problem and how he was unstable, and Dooku was there to kind of mentor him a little bit as he could whenever they'd interact and just be his friend. Yeah, a Grievous story pre Revenge of the Sith would be pretty cool. I think that'd be really neat to see his origin story. Huh. Yeah, I want to see that Mandalorian sneak. A lot of people say they don't want to see trailers and stuff because they don't want to be spoiled and whatnot, but I like seeing the trailers not just for the story and the spoiling of that. I want to see what it looks like and what it feels like. I want to see what kind of direction they went in with the photography, the cinematography, the sets, the CGI, see if, how much is being brought into this. And usually you get a good feel of that from the trailers, although the story's misleading. So I don't see the trailer as being a spoiler because they're always misleading. It's for me it's more of a what do the special effects look like? What let's see hear some of the voices, see how the acting sounds in it. Oh yeah, Tales of the Jedi definitely made Attack of the Clones a little bit better for me. That was one of my least favorite Star Wars movies. And not saying I hated it, I didn't hate it. It just, it's like every other Star Wars story or Star Wars movie or Star Wars series. It has its ups and its downs. It just, to me, it had a lot more downs than ups. Um, Expert on Mandalorian history. That's awesome, Mando. I know quite a bit about Mandalorian history. Not probably not as much as you, but I know a little bit. And I'm loving where they're going with the Mandalorian because you take the Mandalorian and it's its own story. You don't have to know who Ahsoka is to start Star Wars with the Mandalorian. You don't have to know who Ahsoka is. You don't have to know who Bo-Katan is, the armor, Din Djarin, Grogu, any of that, because it introduces them all so well and it brings them all into the story so well that if you're interested in finding out who they are, you can go back and watch the Clone Wars, or you can go back and read some novels about them. That's what I like about the Mandalorian so much. And I know I'm probably on my own with this one, but the cutesy Grogu stuff, oh, that's all I'll say. The cutesy Grogu stuff. Yeah. I like Grogu. Don't get me wrong. It's just I don't watch every episode to see what cute thing Grogu's going to do next. And I think a lot of newer fans do that, and they get upset when I say something about Grogu. Yeah, that's the good philosophy, Indiana. And yeah, as y'all can see, I left that spoiler warning. Where is it? It's right there. I left that up. I'm leaving it up for the entire video. That way, if somebody new comes in, they know we're talking about Andor. We're talking about things they might not have seen in Star Wars. So yeah, just remember that. I don't care if we do spoilers, because that is present. We have it. I think we need to see the future, that is stuff beyond the sequel trilogy. We need to see where things are going next. We need to be free from plot armor. Agreed. We need to have characters that we don't know about. Give me a Game of Thrones style Star Wars. And I'm hoping that's what the Acolyte would be like. More of a Game of Thrones Star Wars, you know, like we don't really know these characters, so what do we care if they live or die? But get us to know them in the series, and then gone. You know, just whoa, they just totally red wedding Star Wars. You know, and even so, that's why I'm liking the High Republic, because I'm reading these novels and I'm like, oh, that character's kind of never mind, they're gone. That character's neat. Oh wait, never mind, gone. That's that's kind of cool, because these aren't characters we grew up with. There's one in there that we grew up with, and that's Yoda. Well, we know what happens to him, so we're not worried about it. He's not even a big part of the story, or even he's not even a small part of the story. He's just mentioned. Um, yeah, Mandalorian open world game. Give me that. I don't see a need for him unless they bring in two, play the Clan of Two thing. Yeah, I don't not see a need for him. I just Okay, let's take the Book of Boba Fett for example. My biggest gripe with Luke Skywalker showing up in the story is because Luke Skywalker saved the day. Now, he saved the day in The Mandalorian season 2 as well. So, how many things is Luke Skywalker going to save the day? And before everybody says, "Oh wait, he didn't save the day in the Book of Boba Fett," he did. He gave Grogu the choice between the Mandalorian chainmail and the lightsaber, meaning either go join the Mandalorian or stay here and learn. So he knew Grogu was going to choose his father. So Grogu goes meets with his father, and guess who saves the Rancor? Because Luke set him on that path. So Luke Skywalker set him on the path. Now, why did Grogu save the Rancor? Why make him do that? Because it led to another cutesy Grogu moment where Grogu's laying down next to the sleeping Rancor. Um, that should have been done by Boba Fett, not laying down by the Rancor. He could have if he wanted, I guess. But the Rancor should have been tamed by Boba Fett. Boba Fett is the one the Rancor imprinted on. That was his guy. That was his person. That should have been the one. Not, here we go with the mystical powers again. I like the Force, and I like that Star Wars was built on the Force originally, and I like that the Force is part of the galaxy, and it wills everything together. It wills everything that happens, the living Force, the cosmic Force, and all that. But I don't think it needs to be outward in every Star Wars story. Um, Now Grogu is a Force-sensitive Mandalorian, so to speak. So now we're going to see cutesy Grogu Mandalorian moments. Anyways, excited about the Bad Batch. I am too. I just hope they take away some of the fillers and get rid of the diner waitress Trandoshan. You want some coffee with that, honey? Go on this job for me. Come on. She doesn't sound like a Trandoshan. It's upsetting. But the rest of the show is great. I love the first episode and I love the finale of it, the last two episodes. Everything in between, okay, cool. I like seeing Fennec Shand in there and I like seeing Cad Bane in there. It was cool. Those are fan service items and I'm a fan, so I like to be serviced in a Star Wars way. Um, that would be kind of cool, Indiana. But yeah, I'm excited for the Bad Batch season 2. And they need to stick with the style of the Clone Wars in making it and not change it up too drastically. Seeing a stabbing in Star Wars. Oh, yeah. W. Baldwin, good one. I love that. You love Sid. But yeah, I like that when Senta just goes, and then chucks him down and closes the door. That was good. And I like the point blank shot Cassian gave to the Imperial as well, right in the chest. That was neat. Hashtag no more Grogu. No, I'm not saying no more Grogu. He has his place. And the season 1 and season 2 of The Mandalorian was all about, Grogu and Mando's relationship, and they need to continue that relationship because that's what's forming Din Djarin into what he is. Um, Thanks, Kate. Yeah, I may have said that in a bad way. Um, but yeah, I think Grogu's formative in the character building of Mando, so it makes a lot of sense to have him in there. It's just he doesn't have to rescue everybody. He doesn't have to save everybody. He could be, the little buddy that hangs around with Din Djarin and helps him out of sticky situations all he wants, but he didn't have to go saving an entire town in, the Book of Boba Fett. Well, Chris, I can't say it's a train wreck yet. I'm gonna have to at least give it a first episode watch. The Acolyte is in the High Republic era, and I'm really liking the High Republic novels. So hopefully we get something as high quality in that show as we do in the novels. They're really good. Yeah, yeah, Winterbeard, absolutely. And you know what? I haven't talked about him much. Um, Today I have, but lately I haven't been discussing Boba Fett that much. And we really need to get that link between Omega and Boba Fett, Alpha and Omega. Um, it would be so good to see Boba Fett in his prime doing what he does in the Bad Batch. Let's bring his character back to where he needs to be. And a lot of people don't read the comics, so they don't know the Disney era Boba Fett of old is still present. That Boba Fett is still strong and silent and deadly. So unless you read the comics, you think the Book of Boba Fett is the Boba Fett of the Disney era, and he's just this soft guy who lets other people take care of business for him. And that's not true because, I mean, there's a whole comic series about Boba Fett, the War of the Bounty Hunters comics, and they're amazing. They're some of the best writing comics I've read. And the Bounty Hunter series before that had Boba Fett being this just total badass. I mean, he caught Chewbacca on fire. Come on. How cool does it get? Yeah, Kate, absolutely. The quality, that's what I was trying to get at earlier. The quality of Andor needs to be continued throughout the rest of Star Wars. The time and attention that Tony Gilroy gave to this series, and he's not even a Star Wars fan. And the guy just built this amazing world building story and character driven story. We need more of that. And it's not saying that the past stuff's bad. It's not. I mean, the Book of Boba Fett could have been better. The Kenobi series could have been better. But I'm not going to call them trash. I'm going to say they have their place and then move on from it. Um, but I think the attention to detail that Tony Gilroy gave to that show really put the bar high. And I'm hoping The Mandalorian season 3 has some of that in it, has some of that element, that adult theme, because we're looking at a Mandalorian civil war again. And it's going to be chaotic, and it needs to express that. It needs to make us feel for the characters. Right now, I mean, Din Djarin, when he sliced his leg with the dark saber, I was like, goofball, what are you doing? I didn't really feel for him. I just thought, goofball, all right, ding dong, what are you doing? So I really want to feel for the characters. I really want, like, Marva. Marva's passing. I mean, you felt for her passing through the eyes of B2 Emo. Right, B2 Emo. You felt for her passing through him, through how he was. And that changed my whole perspective on droids at that moment. And we've had 40 plus years of Star Wars. For me to have a new perspective on droids, this guy just, this one little trash can looking droid just made it all change for me, that they have emotion. And maybe it was programmed to have deep, deep, deep emotion, or maybe it's because he never had his memory wiped, or whatever it is people say. But he had that emotion, and I felt for him. And I felt for Cassian when he learned the news of his mother's passing, when he was on the phone with the dude in the shop. Anybody can remind me of his name? You know, when he told him, and Cassian is just like, the acting in their faces alone. I think we could have done the whole series with minimal dialogue and just seen their faces and know, wow, this is powerful stuff. The Last Jedi. Yeah, y'all are trying to bait me, aren't you? um, yeah, okay. So Isaac, I'll go to your comment. Speaking as a casual fan, I have no idea what Kathleen Kennedy hate is all about, and I have zero interest in finding out. So I will not talk about it. I also like what Ryan Johnson did with The Last Jedi, so take that however you will. Okay, so um, honestly, there's two sides of the Kathleen Kennedy thing. There's those who think that she's doing a poor job, and there's those that think we would have never got more Star Wars without her. But here's my take on Kathleen Kennedy. I'm not saying she's good. I'm not saying she's bad. I'm not saying she needs to go or stay. I'm saying that George Lucas himself appointed her as president of Lucasfilm when he sold the company. That was in the contract that she become president of Lucasfilm and Star Wars. So that means something, that she maybe just at that time she was along the same mindset as George Lucas when it came to Star Wars. Maybe makes sense to me, but I'm not saying she's good or bad. I'm not going to get into that fight. The Last Jedi, I do like that. All right, let's watch the subscriber count drop now. And it hasn't yet. It's only been about 5 seconds since I said it. I do like The Last Jedi. Um, I like elements of it. I think the cinematography was amazing. The music, there was some of the most beautiful Star Wars music in that movie. Rey's theme, whether you like Rey or not, the music for Rey was just beautiful. It was beautifully written. John Williams did an amazing job with that. I like Kylo Ren and Ben Solo. I like that dynamic, the fighting among himself, knowing he's not really a dark sider, but trying anyway just to be against his uncle. That all made sense to me. Hey, no problem, Isaac. Even though I wasn't a fan of the Star Wars movie, one of the things I did like was C-3PO feeling for his friends. And that was also limited. I mean, C-3PO, R2-D2, and Chopper have all shown a certain amount of emotion. But at the end, directly following that even, they go about their day. They go about their job. They have a moment of silence, then they go about their job. B2 Emo was tore up about it. I mean, he didn't go about his job or his duties or anything. He sat on his bed like a puppy who'd been mortally wounded and just sat there like, I don't want to get up. I'm charging. Well, you've been charging all day. So come on, let's get you up, get you moving, get you out of this mood that you're in. Nobody had to coax C-3PO or R2-D2 to get out of their mood. Although they were treated as somewhat equals by Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia to a point, they weren't coaxed to get out of their mood. B2 Emo had to be coaxed and motivated, not coaxed, but motivated to get out of it. Yeah, I like Chopper and AP5. Those are a good ones. Yeah, I mean, B2EMO, I'm not going to say he was my favorite droid of all time, but he definitely made me look at Star Wars in a different way, made me look at droids in a different way. And I enjoyed it. I'm glad for it. I thought, this is amazing stuff. All right, Mando, good to see you, buddy. Thank you. This is the way, buddy. And once again, this is Celebration. And at my 5,000 celebration, I did do a couple shots. And I say a couple, I mean within the hour, I did 6 shots of rum that turned out bad. Not real bad. I went up and did some drywall work. I don't remember it, but I did it and it looked amazing. So it wasn't horrible. But this time I'm not drinking for this 20,000 celebration because I'm on an antibiotic and I really don't want to mess with that. I'm not sick or anything. Don't worry, I'm not dying. Just got a little skin irritation that's getting taken care of. But I don't want to drink with that. And I think when we hit the 25K, that's when I'm going to, break out the bottle again. I'm going to pour some shots. Last time what I did was I set myself to 3 shots, one every 20 minutes during that celebration, during that 5,000 celebration live stream. And then for every 3 super chats, I'd do another shot. So I wound up doing 6 shots within that hour. And whew, so that was early in the morning. And I'm not doing that early in the morning again. So the next celebration will be in the evening, my time, because um, I will be wanting to, pound a few back. This time it'll be bourbon. Bourbon's my new choice. Yeah, I've seen that before, Indiana. My grandmother had a couple dogs, and one of them passed away, and the other one went into a deep depression. She never came out of it, and she wound up passing away as well. So it was kind of a sad month for that family. We grow up, though. Rogue One and Andor are great successors. Yes, they are, Winterbeard. Couldn't agree more. Yeah, Sydney, you were there for that live stream. That was a little interesting. Yeah, so I've been having a lot of fun with my channel. For those of you that don't know, I get up at between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. every day to work on my channel, whether that's updating thumbnails because I learned something new in thumbnails and I want to make it look fresh and newer, or if it's making a video, taking 5 hours to do so. Then I go into my job and I work 8 to 10 hours at my job and then come home and I'm exhausted by 6 p.m. and ready to pass out. But that's the level of dedication I have to this channel, is that I don't mind skipping out on a little bit of sleep and coming here to be with you guys and give you guys new stuff. And a lot of the stuff I've been doing lately is Andor. And that's because how blown away I am at it and how many details there are in it and how many things there are to talk about. For me to do a review on Andor, I can't talk about every single thing because I'd have to make a hour video, and none of you are going to watch an hour video of me talking about Andor. Let's just face it, it's not going to happen. Um, it's but I get up that early because I want to talk about Star Wars, and my family gets a little tired of hearing me talk about it. So I made this channel to talk about Star Wars, and I bring it to you guys. And hitting 20,000 subscribers is a huge deal to me. Hitting 1,000 was a huge deal. 5,000, 10, 15. It's all been a huge deal to me because I didn't think really anybody would listen to me because I'm just this old guy talking about Star Wars. Um, and trying to be positive about it and not wreck the fandom or divide the fandom up in any way. I just wanted to talk about Star Wars, the thing I love. So to get so many people listening to me and watching me, it's just incredible. And I thank all of you for that. And Freelance Nerd, I don't think I got to say hi to you, but welcome. We haven't discussed the swap in the transport yet. Um, Anybody knows why Cyril Karn and Sergeant Chubby Guy swapped hats in the transport, please let us know. To me, it seemed really odd. And it's not something that I'm sitting here going, that was stupid. No, it just seemed odd because then after watching it a third, fourth, fifth time, I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, Senior Chubby Guy has a really big head. Cyril Karn does not. Hat sizes. It didn't look big when Cyril Karn put it on, maybe a tiny bit oversized, but then when Senior Chubby Guy put the hat on, it didn't seem like it didn't fit him at all. It was just maybe they're flex fit. I don't know. I like flex fit hats. See, But it just seemed weird that they changed hats because it wasn't like an Imperial hat to a civilian hat or a capo hat to a civilian hat or vice versa or any of that. It was just dirty hat to dirty hat. It just didn't make much sense, and I thought it was funny. I heard a theory that they swapped hats to make it easy for them to recognize each other in a crowd. Oh, yeah, I guess if you're looking for your own hat, then it would be easier. Okay. Instead of putting your name on your back and your front or a big number or something, that makes sense. Look for the hat. Huh. I like that. So I think maybe we have something plausible and it doesn't sound as odd anymore. Other than, why did their hats fit each other? Hey, Misfits of Senate. Good to see you. You've probably been in here a while. Yeah, so it just was funny to me. Ah, okay. Maybe he was giving him a leader hat. He's like, look, I'm not the leader. You are. Here, take my hat. And Cyril Karn just understood and took the hat and casually put it on. I do like Cyril Karn. He's probably my favorite. What would you call him? An anti-villain? A villain? Anti-hero? I don't know. But I do like him. I think he's a really cool character. I love Luthen Rael. He's amazing. And I hope to goodness, the universe, the force, whatever you want to hope to, that they go back and rescue Kino Loy. Andy Serkis had so much in this story that his presence was huge, just enormous for him to just be left at the jumping point. We need to go back. We need to go get that guy. Get him out of there. Antagonist. Thank you, Sydney. That's a better word for it. Yeah, so we need to go back and get Kino Loy. His speech, I liked Luthen's speech. It had so much depth to it. But then when you rewatch and rewatch and rewatch Kino Loy's speech and put on the subtitles and pay attention to the words used and everything, it's so much deeper than you get out of the first time viewing it. First time viewing it, you're like, all right, he's telling them to help him. Let's go. Ugh, he's motivating everybody. But what he's doing is he's motivating himself because he knows he's going to die, probably. He knows he's not going to make it out because there's only one way out. One way out. And that's over the side into the water. So that brings me in my next confusion. We saw these people jumping off this 200 and something foot ledge into the water, some of them falling, such as Cassian being pushed off of it. How did so many of them survive? Because you see them all swimming away from it. How did so many of them survive that? Hitting water from that high is like hitting concrete, unless that water's far less dense than our water. Could be. Yeah, he could have just hit it. It's been like hitting a bowl of jello. Blah, we're saved. Luthen is a very good character. Yeah, he's also talking to Cassian. Good point, Isaac. He's telling Cassian, pretty much thank you for motivating me and thank you for picking me up and making me move and making me do something about this because I don't want to die as a slave. I want to die on my terms. I want to go out the way I want to go out, not the way they want me to go out, not being reassigned to another floor. Star Wars magic. It's magic. Yeah, the Narcanians said the water was spoiled and poisoned. I don't think many of them made it, but they died on their own terms. Free, yes. And I think a lot of them got recaptured too. I don't think all of them. There might have been one or two more that got out of there. And that would be interesting to see. Maybe do a side story, starting the series off with another group of people that jumped off and watching them get captured or killed or die in the water or whatever, and then one escape out eventually. And maybe he was on the ship with Cassian and Melshi. Yeah, they all swam in different directions, like, free, yay, let's go. No, I mean, the land just there. Why are you going all over? And you're safer in numbers, so you would want at least stuck with 2 or 3 guys to go with you. Hey, DR, you're late, buddy. I'm disappointed in you. You got about 5 minutes left in the stream. Yeah, but maybe in the confusion of hitting the water misfits that, they're all like, okay, we're off there, let's go. And they're just, like herding cats. All right, Freelance, good to see you. Thank you for joining. Yeah, yeah, absolutely, Sydney. Yeah, DR. I know I don't do live streams as much as I used to. For those of you who don't know, I used to do live streams every Saturday at this time. Um, I haven't done that in a while because there for a while it was just starting to talk about the same things over and over and over, and I didn't want to do that to you guys. I didn't want to make videos just to talk about the same things constantly. I wanted to have fresh stuff, and Andor's giving me plenty of fresh stuff to talk about. Um, as we can see, this chat's been blowing up, and I'm loving it. It's, it's really, really good. Thoughts on the Mando season 3 trailer coming? I don't know. I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know what my thoughts are on it. But let's just say that I'm glad it's coming. Um, I'm not one of those that shies away from trailers. Oh, nice. Nice. I've seen those on Amazon, DR. Yeah, that's true, Indiana. I can see that. They're getting out of the way because they know there's 5,000 people falling out of that one spot. It makes sense to me. Sorry, I was just checking something. Yeah, I mean, I do need to do more stuff live streaming for the members of the channel. So if you're not a member and you want to become a member, just click that link that's in the description or copy and paste. I don't know how it works anymore. I haven't tried to join my own channel. But yeah, if you don't want to be a member, that's fine. Don't be a member. It is what it is. I'm not begging for money here. I just think everybody deserves the option if they want it. But I did a video last week and I instantly regretted it because after watching that video myself, I was like, holy crap, I sound so negative. And that's not what I'm about. I'm not about being negative. I don't hate on anything Star Wars and Mr. Action Man. Alrighty. Um, uh, I don't hate on anything Star Wars, not past or present. And even though Andor is a high quality show and a higher quality show than we've seen in a long time, um, I think the rest of it has its merit and its good points and its bad points. And pretty much that's all I was trying to say in that video, but it came off as extremely negative and it trolled a lot of people. And a lot of people are like, you're trash, you're stupid, and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, you know what? I'm not about having comment section full of this crap. So I took that video and I made it a members only video. That way the people who, have, and a lot of members have been with me for a long time. So they understand how I am and they understand what I meant in that video. So they can still enjoy it and comment on it and all that stuff. Um, so yeah, I try not to release videos like that come off as negative. I wrote 2 scripts this morning for videos and deleted both of them because it just started veering to that point where I could see it be seen as a troll for some reason, and that's not who I am. I don't try to clickbait. I don't troll. One person commented um, on my Luthen Rael Jedi video said 6:37. In other words, the timestamp for when I start talking about what Luthen Rael is. Okay, cool. I'm sorry to waste 6 minutes and 37 seconds of your life. Out of the 5 hours that it took me to make that video, I didn't think that was a very long stretch, but it's cool. I understand some people are impatient. They want the end at the beginning. Um, so, maybe I'll try to do that a little bit more. Oh, cool. I'm glad you liked it, Isaac. Yeah, and I mean, and that's another one of my points right now is that yes, I was wrong in and one of my assumptions, two of them really, that one, it wasn't the Death Star they were building. Spoiler, 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 spoiler. It was the Death Star they were building. Um, I said it was probe droids. It wasn't probe droids. I was wrong. And sometimes these things happen. I don't know one person that comes up with Star Wars theories that has got everything right, or even 50% of things right, because we don't have all the information. We don't have everything we need to make the perfect judgment every time. They throw us for a loop. You know, like, bam, what are they building? Okay, it makes sense that poetically he's building the thing that kills him later on. But at the same time, if Cassian is understanding this is the Death Star he's building, it ruins a lot of the plot for Rogue One. So the end credit scene was actually very masterfully done, where it didn't give it away to any of the characters what was being built, but it gave it away to us instead. And I like that. I like that they did it that way. I like that I was wrong because of the way they did it. Sometimes I like to be right in my assumptions, but sometimes it doesn't matter. All right, DR. A cluster fudge of main character deaths. Obviously, that didn't happen. Yeah, I can see some of that happening in season two. I think they need to carry over those characters into season two just to keep the continuity going. Because if they introduce us to all new characters in season two, then we're going to need a third season to explain those characters or whatever. But I think taking some of those side characters that we knew about and care about now and continuing them into the second season, then whack, bye bye, that's going to be more impactful. Yeah, DR, I got a lot about the Book of Boba Fett right as well. Um, about how it was the Tuscans that saved Boba Fett from burning up in the sun, how it was the Jawas that raped him in the okay, they stole his clothes in the middle of the desert while he was passed out. The introduction of Cobb Vanth back into the Book of Boba Fett. A lot of that stuff I got right. There were things I didn't get right, and that's okay. Yeah, yeah, it just showed how they treated the prisoners. That's all good stuff. Alrighty, well, it looks like it's about time for. Yeah, we do need a Book of Boba Fett season two for sure. Let's build Boba Fett's character back up to what everybody knows him to be. Hopefully, they do that in The Mandalorian season three. If they don't make a Book of Boba Fett season two, and if they do a Book of Boba Fett season two, let's make it a little darker and grittier, shall we? Make it a little more oomph, you know. DR, you're killing me, man. Nah, I don't have 5 more minutes, man. Actually, my son's gonna be coming over here in a little bit, and we're gonna be going out to do something, do some Christmas shopping and errand running and stuff. So I do need to get on with it. So everybody, thank you so much for joining, and thank you so much for the 20,000. That's just amazing to me. Like I said, I didn't expect really many people to watch my videos when I started. It was just a hobby. It still is a hobby, but it's my dedication to Star Wars and you guys receiving it well. That's really paying off, and I appreciate that so much more than you'll ever know. And I say that in the beginning of all my videos, and I mean it with all my heart. You guys are appreciated more than you can possibly understand, because an old guy trying to get on this platform is not an easy task, especially when it's ruled by younger people who have better brains. Um, it's the only way I can say it. But thank you all so much. I appreciate you. And this is Star Wars Fanatic by the name of Gerald. Signing off, wishing you all great health, happiness, and peace. Be good to one another. So good to one another. Thank you all for watching. And remember, this is the way. And positivity.